Well,
we're back. Slanger.
And to you.
It's weird being in the middle. I'm never in the middle.
Right, so we're here to share Star Wars stories.
Indeed.
What should we call it? Star Wars story time. What sounds better? We can edit it.
Star Wars stories and Scotch.
In time.
Star Wars stories and Scotch and time.
We don't plan these things, and we haven't had enough Scotch for it to be hysterical, but I think we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Cheers to getting there.
Cheers to getting there.
Yes.
I'm already there.
We might use our accents, we might use our real life voices, I don't know, whatever is easiest. Do you have an accent? Have we established it's no use being on your own self? Right then, okay.
If you're not familiar, he played Ian Dozier one time.
Sketch. Whatever.
Right.
No.
To Ian.
To Ian!
Tell Ian.
May he never see our work.
We're so screwed if he does. I won't need a top off if we keep going like this.
Right, it's true. Well, basically, we're just going to go around and share stories of how we grew up with Star Wars or a memory associated with Star Wars. It's connected all of us in a weird way. Yeah, we can say weird. Weird's fine.
I think so, yeah. It's good.
So kick it off, Seth.
Yeah, so the story for me is I grew up on the VHS original cut.
You do know that we're older than you, right? We know what a VHS player is.
Yeah, not that much older. I remember.
To being old.
To being old. How about a laser disc? Remember that?
No, I have never heard of a laser disc though.
Betamax.
8-track tape. We asked Seth to give his memory, and we were already just taking a crap on it. I'm sorry. Continue.
Continue, sir. Sorry.
I had the VHS tape, so I had the original, which means yes, Han did actually first. So I got to see all of the incredible mistakes in the most wonderful way, which was Star Wars. But not only that, I remember the trailer like for the VHS tapes that were on that VHS tape. So it was like in a world of and all of that. But I remember the biggest line being the
Force is forever.
And then it finally ended with the original Star Wars trilogy on video.
One last time.
Which wasn't definitely
Not at all. It's been remastered 10 times now?
Yes, and
They
now,
lied. That was,
Indeed.
I want my money back.
Bald-faced lie.
but it had this interview with a guy named George Lucas and some other guy.
He's an up and coming.
He's up and coming, yeah.
There was this interview that started at the beginning of every movie, and I was always telling my dad, "Who is this guy? I don't care. I just want to watch Star Wars." And now looking back at it, I probably freak out a little bit more. But the biggest thing that bothered me was that we got rid of that VHS tape, which means the original. We gave up the greatest cut.
On eBay, you could probably make a pretty penny on that.
I know.
Yeah.
We don't have
history.
it. Yeah.
I still have mine.
Yeah.
Where?
The-
Where is it?
In my home.
We're in your home.
I'm not telling.
He picked up on that fast. Continue. Sorry.
But then the probably the biggest one was that my mom made us Halloween costumes where I dressed up as a Jedi. It was like homemade, and it was just beautiful, like just this robe that was just, it felt so like a Jedi. It was the only time I actually dressed up for that was the Phantom Menace. It was like after I watched the Phantom Menace, it was the only time I dressed up, which means I guess that movie did something right because I had a great time. I love that. That's probably my favorite Star Wars movie. I did it with my brother too, so it's all family related. It's all
Yeah, that's
That's a
absolutely
great story.
kind of like
Indeed.
Star Wars. Where,
Cheers to Seth.
Yes,
Cheers to Seth.
Thank you. I'm
Seth has broke his.
On me?
I'm in the middle, I'll go last.
Oh, that's true. Longest beard goes
Hey.
last. That's the rule. My story. Do I use my voice? I'll use my voice. That's fine. So my story is actually Star Wars was sort of I won't say guilty pleasure, but it's one of the first things I remember doing behind my parents' back was I was at my friend Kenny's house. Kenny, if you're watching, sorry.
You caused all of this. It's your fault.
Yeah, it's your
This
fault.
entire
Why'd you do
thing,
No.
Kenny. It's your fault.
No, but Kenny would have me over, and he was watching Star Wars, and that's all they were doing. They had the GameCube Bounty Hunter game, You do that?
Oh yeah, I never played it, but I remember the game.
So that's all they did. That and Smash Brothers, but that is something.
Yeah, sure.
But every time we'd go over there, and I remember my mother finding out we were watching Star Wars. She was mortified at first, and then she had a long talk with my dad. I love my parents; they're both wonderful people. We all grew up in homes with different standards, and so she came back with, "You can only watch episode 4 and parts of episode 5, but you can't watch episode 6 because this was before the era of like skip." So it was, no, you can't see Leia at Jabba, that's Palace. Well, so the next thing I did, kid you not, to my daughter, I hope you're not like me. The next time I went to Kenny's house, I said, I want to watch Return of the Jedi. And so we did. And so.
To Carrie Fisher, by the way.
Carrie Fisher. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Keep lost. So that's my story with Star Wars. Every time I go over there, it was the Star Wars Legos, which that influenced me. Like the first Lego set I bought was a Star Wars Lego set. And it's similar too. The first one I connected with really was Phantom Menace because that's the one I remember coming out. And then years later you look back and go, to some of those, choices they made artistically. But that's what I will always associate. Going to Kenny, I almost said the last name. Going to Kenny's house. Kenny, and
I know that guy.
Yeah, Kenny.
Oh, wait, I know it too.
Oh no, Kenny. To Kenny.
To Kenny.
All right,
My turn.
go on. So, what's your story? Tell us, Charles.
I will convert to my normal accent as well.
It's so jarring.
Because it's just so silky, sweet, he'll just lull you into it. Like, he could sell you anything. It's great. Great. And he can fix anything, so there's that too.
Not that, but so I grew up with Star Wars very similar to what most people did. I watched the original trilogy on the same one, but then they remastered it and they brought it out anew. It was a new version of
New Hope?
New Hope. It was a new hope for Star Wars.
And it was low-hanging fruit,
It
I'm
was
sorry.
indeed.
To low-hanging fruit!
I remember I went to the Blockbuster video for
Oh my word.
for all the children out there.
We are old.
And it was around my birthday, and I got it as a birthday present. And I watched it, and I just completely fell in love with it. I loved everything about it. And I, like 12 people in the world, found that Empire was my favorite film.
Well, 12 people, that's my favorite film.
Well, you're one of the 12.
I'm one of the 12. Sounds so official. Sorry, continue.
But Empire Strikes Back was one of my favorite films. Even as a kid, it was the first appearance of the great Mandalorian that led us to where we now exist in Star Wars. The minute you see the guy walk across and you hear the spurs of jangling and all that, it's perfect.
Good word.
Indeed. Fast forward, we go quite a while without Star Wars, and then Phantom Menace comes out. I was on a trip with my family and happened to get to see the film on this trip. And it was the first film that I ever got to see in a theater without my parents being there. I was on a trip with a bunch of people and got to go see it there in this theater. And it was the first time I ever saw a midnight showing of anything, and I got to see Phantom Menace for the first time. Immediately, when I got home, it was Halloween. I saved up money from all the various chores and jobs and stuff that I did. And I bought this lightsaber right here.
Oh, that's why that was there.
And I carried this thing on me at all times. It was in my backpack at school. I wore it on my belt all the time. Like, I had this exact lightsaber. And for years I thought about refinishing it, but I never did because it holds such a memory of all the fun times I had playing with this lightsaber.
I thought we were just happy to see me.
Yeah. Maybe I was. Star Wars was one of those things that it was with me as a constant through everything. And being an 8-year-old kid, through all the things that life throws us, through college, I was with the Mississippi Mandalorians through college because of that. It helped me make new friends throughout the band.
Gang? What is that? I'm sorry.
It's like the 501st, but it's about Mandalorians instead.
Oh, sorry. I was just like, I have no context for what that is. Like a biker gang or something.
I'm glad you asked. I'm
Just a group of people who dressed like Mandalorians pre-cosplay being a big thing.
As one does.
It was just a really cool thing, and it was something that stuck with me, and I kept with me my entire life, and it's now become a passion that I can share with my friends. I've made a new friend in the process of my love for Star Wars, and
As have I.
I think we can all say that of all the factions and fandoms out there, Star Wars is for everybody, and Star Wars gives everybody what they need out of it. I hope that we all continue to love the franchise and respect it and give it all the care it needs.
Even when we critique it,
Indeed.
Especially
lovingly,
Lovingly.
critique it.
Because whether you like it or not, someone else might.
Because if I hear one more statement about The Last Jedi,